Captain Deho stood on the bridge of Soul's Pride, watching the stars through the main window. His ship was one of 3 vessels carrying humans to find a new home among the stars. They had been traveling for 6 months and finally found a planet that looked perfect for their new colony. "Captain," said Lieutenant Hai Jin from her seat at the communications station, "I'm getting some strange readings on long-range sensors." Deho walked over to look at her screen. There were dots moving toward them, getting bigger and bigger. "How many ships?" 50, sir. Maybe more. They're moving fast." Heejin's voice was steady, but Deho could hear the worry in it. Engineer Wubin looked up from his workstation. "Captain, those ships don't match any design we know. They're definitely not human, this was it. First contact with aliens. Deho had dreamed of this moment, but not like this. Not with 50 unknown ships approaching his small group of colony vessels. "All ships, this is Soul's Pride," Deho said into his communication device. "Unknown vessels approaching. Prepare for possible first contact. Everyone stay calm." The alien ships came closer. They were sleek and dark, shaped like arrows with glowing blue lines along their sides. They moved in perfect formation, surrounding the 3 human ships in minutes. "Incoming transmission," Hyojin announced. "Put it on the main screen." The face that appeared was not human. It had gray skin, 4 eyes arranged in a square pattern, and a mouth full of sharp teeth. When it spoke, the translation software turned its words into English. "Primitive vessels, you have entered space controlled by the great Andorian Empire. I am Admiral Vextar of the Imperial Fleet. You will surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded." Deho stepped forward. "This is Captain Deho of the human vessel Soul's Pride. We come in peace, seeking only to establish a colony on the uninhabited planet below. We had no knowledge of your empire's claim to this system." Admiral Vextar's 4 eyes blinked in what looked like surprise. "You dare to speak as equals? You will surrender now or be destroyed." "I'm afraid I cannot do that," Deho replied calmly. "We are peaceful explorers, but we will defend ourselves if attacked. Perhaps we could discuss this situation and find a solution that works for both our peoples." The alien admiral made a sound that might have been laughter. "Foolish creatures. Your tiny ships are no match for the might of the Andorian Empire. This is your final warning." Deho looked at his crew. They were scared but ready. "Wubin, are our new defense systems ready?" "Yes, Captain. The kinetic barriers are online and the plasma cannons are charged." "Good. Hyojin, send a message to the other ships. Tell them to follow our lead." The communication ended. For a moment, both fleets hung in space waiting. Then the alien ships opened fire. Bright beams of energy shot toward the human vessels, but instead of destroying them, the beams hit invisible walls and scattered in all directions. The kinetic barriers held perfectly. "Return fire," Deho ordered. The human ships fired their plasma cannons. The weapons were new, built using technology that had taken Earth's best scientists years to develop. The plasma bolts hit 2 alien ships, causing explosions that lit up space. Admiral Vextar's face appeared on the screen again, his 4 eyes wide with shock. "Impossible. Our intelligence said you were primitives." "Your intelligence was wrong," Deho said. "We don't want to fight, but we will protect ourselves." The battle continued for 20 minutes. The human ships used hit-and-run tactics, their smaller size allowing them to move faster than the alien vessels. Their shields held against most attacks, while their weapons proved surprisingly effective against alien armor. When it was over, 2 alien ships were badly damaged and drifting in space. 3 more had severe damage to their weapon systems. The human ships had taken some hits, but their barriers had protected them from serious harm. Admiral Vextar's face appeared one more time. He looked confused and angry. "This is not over, humans. The Empire will remember this insult." "We hope the Empire will also remember our offer of peaceful discussion," Deho replied. "We will be here when you're ready to talk." The alien ships moved away, dragging their damaged vessels with them. Soon they were gone, leaving the human ships alone among the stars. "Well," said Wubin, wiping sweat from his face. "That was interesting." "Sir," Hyojin said, "what should I tell Earth?" Deho thought for a moment. Their small group of colony ships had just fought off 50 alien warships. Earth needed to know what had happened, but more importantly, Earth needed to be ready for what might come next. "Send this message," he said. "First contact established with hostile alien empire called the Andorians. Initial conflict resulted in human victory, but enemy forces retreated to regroup. Recommend accelerating colonization timeline and military preparation. We may have just announced humanity's presence to a very large and unfriendly galaxy. As Heijin sent the message, Daeho looked out at the planet below. It was beautiful, with blue oceans and green continents. It would make a good home for humans. But now he wondered if they would be allowed to keep it. The Andorian ships had been surprised by human technology. Their weapons and shields were clearly superior to what the aliens expected. But 50 ships was probably just a small patrol. How many ships did this Andorian empire have? Hundreds? Thousands? Captain, Wubin said quietly, do you think they'll come back? Oh yes, Daeho replied. They'll be back. And next time they'll bring more ships. He turned to his crew. Signal the other captains. We need to start building defenses on the planet's surface immediately. And Hyojin, send another message to Earth. Tell them we need more ships. And we need them fast. As Soul's Pride moved toward the planet, Daeho couldn't shake the feeling that this first contact was just the beginning. The Andorian Empire clearly controlled a lot of space, and they didn't seem interested in sharing it. But humans had surprised them once. Maybe if they were smart and careful and very lucky, they could surprise them again. 3 weeks after the first battle, Emperor Zalthek sat on his throne in the Great Palace on Andor Prime. The throne room was huge, with walls made of black stone and windows that showed the purple sky of his homeworld. He was reading reports from Admiral Vextar about the strange humans. Impossible, the Emperor said, his voice echoing in the large room. 50 ships defeated by 3 primitive vessels? Admiral Vextar must be getting old. Perhaps the stress of command has affected his mind. His advisor, a thin Andorian named Kreltos, bowed low. What are your orders, your magnificence? Emperor Zalthek stood up from his throne. He was tall even for an Andorian, with dark gray skin and scars from many battles. Send Fleet Commander Mordan with a proper invasion force. 500 ships should be enough to deal with these humans and capture their technology. It will be done, your magnificence. On the human colony world that they had named New Busan, Governor Kyungsu was meeting with his military advisor, Yun Young. They sat in a temporary building made of metal panels, looking at computer screens that showed the space around their planet. How long do we have? Kyungsu asked. Our scouts report a large alien fleet moving this way, Yun Young replied. Much bigger than the first one. Maybe 500 ships. Kyungsu rubbed his tired eyes. In 3 weeks they had built a small city, set up farms, and started mining operations. But they had also spent most of their time building defenses. What do we have to fight them with? 12 orbital defense platforms, each with plasma cannons and missile launchers. 50 automated defense drones, ground-based particle cannons at 6 locations around the planet, and Chief Engineer Min-ho has some new ideas about our shield systems. Min-ho entered the room carrying a tablet computer. He was young for such an important job, but he was the smartest engineer in the colony. Governor, I think I've found a way to improve our defenses, Min-ho said excitedly. If we link all our shield generators together, we can create overlapping fields that are much stronger than individual shields. How much stronger? Eun-young asked. Maybe 3 times stronger. And if one generator is damaged, the others can cover for it. Kyung-soo nodded. Do it. How long do you need? 2 days if we work around the clock. When the Andorian invasion fleet arrived, they expected to find 3 small human ships and an undefended planet. Instead, Fleet Commander Mordan saw orbital platforms, defense drones flying in formation, and energy readings that suggested the planet had serious military installations. This is not what Admiral Vextar described, Mordan said to his officers. These humans have built substantial defenses. His tactical officer, a young Andorian named Yeltan, studied the sensor readings. Sir, I count at least 50 mobile defense units and multiple orbital installations. This is not a simple colony. No matter, Mordan replied. We have 500 ships. Begin the attack. The battle began when the Andorian fleet moved into orbit around New Busan. Immediately, the human defenses came alive. Orbital platforms fired plasma bolts while defense drones swarmed around the alien ships like angry insects. Squadron leader Boram led a wing of 12 human fighter craft. They were small and fast, much smaller than the Andorian ships. But they moved in ways that confused the aliens. Break formation and attack individually, Boram ordered her pilots. Don't let them predict our movements. The human fighters darted between the large alien ships, firing plasma bursts at engines and weapon systems. The Andorians were used to fighting other big ships in organized formations. They didn't know how to deal with small, fast targets that attacked from unexpected angles. "These humans fight like no one we have ever encountered," complained Captain Durex of the warship Stormbringer. "They have no honor, no formation discipline." "They have effectiveness," replied his weapons officer. "We've lost 6 ships already." On the planet's surface, the ground-based particle cannons fired up at the alien fleet. The beams were powerful enough to punch through alien armor, and they were aimed by computers that could track multiple targets at once. Minho watched the battle from the command center, his eyes on the shield status displays. "The orbital platforms are taking heavy fire, but the overlapping shields are holding. How long can we maintain this?" Governor Kyungsoo asked. "Unknown, but the aliens are losing ships faster than we are." The battle lasted for 6 hours. When it ended, the Andorian fleet retreated with less than 200 ships remaining. The humans had lost 4 orbital platforms and 16 defense drones, but the colony was still safe. Fleet Commander Mordan sat in his damaged command ship, staring at the battle reports. 300 ships lost to a single human colony. It was impossible to believe, but the evidence was right in front of him. "Sir," his communications officer said, "we're receiving human transmissions." "What do they say?" "They're discussing something called Phase 2 protocols and mentioning the main fleet's arrival." Morden felt cold fear in his stomach. Main fleet? If this colony had defeated 500 Andorian ships, what could a main human fleet do? "Send a message to Emperor Zalthex immediately," Morden ordered. "Tell him the humans are not a primitive species. They appear to have significant military power, and reinforcements are coming. Request immediate support." Back on New Busan, the humans celebrated their victory, but Squadron Leader Boram was worried as she talked to Governor Kyungsoo. "Sir, we won, but just barely. If they come back with more ships—" "I know," Kyungsoo replied. "Heejin, what's the status of our message to Earth?" Lieutenant Hyejin, who had come down to the planet after the first battle, checked her communications equipment. "Message sent, sir. But Earth is months away, even with our fastest ships. Then we'll have to hold out until help arrives," the governor said. "Minho, how quickly can we rebuild our defenses?" 2 weeks for the orbital platforms. But sir, I have an idea. What if we make the aliens think we have more ships than we really do?" Yoon Young looked interested. "What do you mean?" "False sensor signatures. Fake radio transmissions. Make them think a big human fleet is coming even when it's not." Governor Kyungsoo smiled for the first time in days. "Do it. If the aliens think we're stronger than we are, maybe they'll think twice about attacking." On Andor Prime, Emperor Zalthex read Fleet Commander Mordan's report with growing anger and concern. 300 ships lost to a human colony, and now intelligence suggested that human reinforcements were coming. "Bring me Admiral Kethmore," the Emperor ordered. Admiral Kethmore was the Emperor's best military commander, a veteran of dozens of campaigns. When he entered the throne room, the Emperor handed him the battle report. "Read this and tell me what you think." Kethmore read the report carefully, his 4 eyes moving back and forth across the text. When he finished, he looked up at the Emperor. "Your Magnificence, if this report is accurate, we are not dealing with a primitive species. The humans have advanced technology and effective military tactics. The loss of 300 ships to a single colony suggests they have significant defensive capabilities. What do you recommend?" "A full-scale military response. If the humans are as dangerous as this report suggests, we must crush them before they become a greater threat." Emperor Zalthex nodded slowly. "Very well. Take the 3rd Imperial Fleet. 2,000 ships should be enough to end this human problem permanently." "It will be done, Your Magnificence." As Admiral Kethmore left to prepare his fleet, Emperor Zalthex looked out the window at his capital city. For 800 years, the Andorian Empire had ruled this part of the galaxy. No species had ever successfully challenged their power. But these humans were different. They had technology that shouldn't exist and tactics that defied conventional military wisdom. Worst of all, they seemed to be getting stronger. The Emperor made a decision. The humans would be destroyed before they could threaten the Empire any further. 2,000 ships would be enough to turn their worlds into burning ruins. He had no idea that the entire human military in deep space consisted of exactly 15 ships. Admiral Kethmore stood in the war room of his flagship, studying holographic displays that showed everything the Andorian Empire knew about human military capabilities. The information was confusing and contradictory. They use both primitive kinetic weapons and advanced energy shields, his intelligence officer reported. Their ships are small but heavily armed. Their tactics suggest extensive military training, but their technology appears to be a mix of advanced and basic systems. Perhaps they are hiding their true capabilities, suggested Captain Vorhak, Kethmore's second-in-command. Many species use deception in warfare. Kethmore nodded slowly. 2,000 ships was the largest fleet he had ever commanded. It was enough to conquer most star systems in the galaxy, but these humans had already proven they were not like other species. Prepare for a long campaign, he ordered. These humans may be more dangerous than we initially believed. Meanwhile, Admiral Jinwoo had arrived at New Busan with humanity's entire deep space fleet. 12 ships. They looked impressive as they moved into orbit around the colony world, but Jinwoo knew the truth. This was everything humanity had to offer. He met with strategic coordinator Su Young in the colony's command center. She was studying reports from their scouts who had detected the massive Andorian fleet approaching. 2,000 ships. Su Young said quietly, "Our best estimate puts their arrival at 6 days from now. What do we have to work with?" Jinwoo asked. 24 ships total, counting the ones already here. Rebuilt orbital defenses, and scientist Dongmin has been studying the captured Andorian technology. Dongmin looked up from his computer terminal. "Admiral, the alien technology is actually less advanced than ours in many areas. Their weapons are powerful but inefficient. Their shields are strong but inflexible. Their ships are big but slow." "That's helpful, but it doesn't change the numbers," Jinwoo replied. 24 ships against 2,000. Intelligence officer Jae Hyun had been listening to their conversation. He was young, but he had a creative mind that Jinwoo respected. "Sir, what if we don't fight them ship to ship?" Jae Hyun suggested. "What if we make them think they're fighting a much larger force?" "Explain." "Psychological warfare. False communications, fake sensor signatures, holographic projections. Make them believe our 24 ships are actually hundreds of ships." Admiral Jinwoo thought about this idea. It was risky, but they didn't have many choices. "Can it work?" "Maybe," Jae-hyun replied. "The aliens already think we're more powerful than we are. We just need to encourage that belief." Over the next 3 days, the humans prepared for the most important battle in their species' history. Fleet Commander Taejun worked with his pilots to practice new formations that would make their small fleet look much larger on enemy sensors. Engineer Woo Bin and his team built holographic projectors that could create fake ship signatures. Communications officer Hee Jin recorded false radio messages about reserve squadrons and supply convoys from the core worlds. When Admiral Kethmore's fleet arrived, they expected to find a moderately defended colony world. Instead, their sensors detected what appeared to be over 200 human ships arranged in complex defensive formations. "This is impossible," Captain Vorhak said, staring at the sensor readings. "Our intelligence said they had only a few ships." "Our intelligence has been wrong before," Admiral Kethmore replied grimly. "Begin the attack, but proceed cautiously." The battle began with long-range missile exchanges. The humans used their holographic projectors to create false targets, causing many Andorian missiles to waste themselves on empty space. Meanwhile, human ships darted between the alien formations, striking quickly and then disappearing into the confusion. Fleet Commander Taejun led his ships in a complex dance around the larger alien vessels. His pilots were outnumbered, but they were also better trained and more flexible than their enemies. "Gold Squadron, attack the command ship's engines," Taejun ordered. "Silver Squadron, hit their weapon systems. Make every shot count." The human fighters moved like a school of fish, coordinating their attacks through quantum communication links that the aliens couldn't intercept. They would appear suddenly, fire their weapons, and vanish before the Andorians could respond effectively. Admiral Kethmore watched his fleet take damage from enemies he couldn't properly track. The human ships seemed to be everywhere at once, appearing on sensors only long enough to fire their weapons. "How many ships are they really facing?" he asked his tactical officer. "Unknown, sir. Our sensors detect multiple signatures, but the humans are using some form of electronic warfare that makes accurate counting impossible." "Sir," his communications officer interrupted, "we're intercepting human transmissions." "What do they say?" "They're discussing Phase 2 reinforcements and Earth Defense Command mobilization. It sounds like more ships are coming." Admiral Kethmore felt a cold sensation in his stomach. "More ships?" How many did these humans have? The battle continued for 8 hours. The humans fought brilliantly, using every advantage they could find. Their superior technology allowed them to punch above their weight, but they were still vastly outnumbered. When the fighting ended, 12 human ships had been destroyed or badly damaged. But the Andorian fleet had lost over 400 ships and many more were damaged. Admiral Kethmore stared at the casualty reports in disbelief. 400 ships lost to what appeared to be a human defensive fleet that still had significant strength remaining. Sir, his communications officer said urgently, "We're receiving a human distress signal. Play it." The intercepted message was brief but terrifying. New Busan Defense Command to Earth Defense Command. Request immediate reinforcement from Core World's fleet. Enemy strength greater than anticipated. Admiral Kethmore turned to Captain Vorhak. Core World's fleet? How large is the human military? Unknown, sir. But if they have multiple fleets, Admiral Kethmore made a difficult decision. Signal retreat. We need to report this to Emperor Zalthex immediately. As the Andorian ships pulled back, Admiral Jinwoo surveyed the damage to his fleet. Half his ships were gone and the rest were badly damaged. But they had won, at least for now. Sir, Intelligence Officer Jae-hyun said, the intercepted Andorian communications suggest they believe we have multiple fleets. Good. Let them keep believing that. Strategic Coordinator Su Young looked worried. Sir, what happens when they figure out the truth? Then we'd better make sure they don't, Jinwoo replied. Haijin, send a message to Earth. Tell them we need ships and we need them fast, and make sure that message gets intercepted by Andorian intelligence. What should the message say? Tell Earth that the advance elements of the Andorian Empire have been defeated, but their main fleet is still coming. Request immediate deployment of the 2nd and 3rd Defense Fleets. Sir, we don't have a 2nd and 3rd Defense Fleet. The Andorians don't know that. On his flagship, Admiral Kethmore composed his report to Emperor Zalthex. It was the most difficult message he had ever written. Your Magnificence, the human military capabilities far exceed our initial estimates. They appear to have multiple fleets, advanced technology, and extensive training. I recommend immediate mobilization of the Grand Armada before they can fully deploy their forces. He paused before adding the final line. The humans may represent the most serious military threat the Empire has ever faced. When Emperor Zalthex received this message, he read it 3 times before believing it. The Grand Armada had never been used against a single enemy. It consisted of 10,000 ships drawn from every corner of the Empire. But if Admiral Kethmore was right, if the humans really did have multiple fleets and advanced technology, then perhaps the Grand Armada was exactly what was needed. Summon all fleet commanders, the Emperor ordered. We will destroy these humans once and for all. On New Busan, the humans had no idea that their deception had worked too well. By convincing the Andorians that they faced a massive human military, they had prompted the Empire to deploy everything they had. Admiral Jinwoo looked up at the stars, wondering when Earth's reinforcements would arrive. According to their last message, a fleet was being assembled, but it would take months to reach them. He had no way of knowing that in 6 months, humanity's small colonial fleet would face 10,000 enemy ships in the largest space battle in galactic history. All he could do was prepare his remaining 12 ships and hope that human ingenuity would be enough to face whatever came next. 6 months had passed since the last battle, and Emperor Zalthex stood before the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. The Grand Armada stretched across 3 star systems, 10,000 ships from every corner of the Andorian Empire. Today, we end the human threat forever, the Emperor announced to his fleet commanders through the communication network. No species has ever challenged the Empire and survived. The humans will be no exception. Grand Admiral Yexelon, coordinator of the massive fleet, studied the logistics reports on his command screen. Moving 10,000 ships required incredible planning. Supply lines, fuel deposits, ammunition stores, everything had to be perfect. Your Magnificence, Yexelon said, the fleet is ready. We have stripped defensive forces from every system in the Empire. This is everything we have. Good, Emperor Zalthex replied. These humans will face the full might of our civilization. Supreme Tactician Veltar was less confident. He had studied every report about human military capabilities, and something bothered him. Your Magnificence, the humans have proven to be unpredictable. Perhaps we should maintain some reserves. Reserves. The Emperor's four eyes blazed with anger. We are bringing 10,000 ships against a single species. What reserves could we possibly need? On New Busan, Admiral Jin Woo now commanded humanity's hastily assembled defensive fleet. 45 ships, including converted cargo haulers with weapons welded to their hulls. It was everything humanity could gather on short notice. Chief of Staff Young Mi brought him the latest intelligence reports. Sir, our long-range scouts confirm it. 10,000 ships approaching in formation. They'll be here in 3 days. Technical Director Sung Ho looked up from his computer terminal. Sir, I've finished the calculations. Even with all our advantages, 45 ships cannot defeat 10,000. It's mathematically impossible. Then we'll have to make the impossible possible. Jinwoo replied calmly. What's the status of Operation Ghost Fleet? Tactical genius Hyun Soo had spent 6 months perfecting humanity's greatest deception. Using every trick they had learned plus some new ones, they would make their tiny fleet appear to be a massive armada. Ready, sir? We can project false signatures for up to 500 ships. The holographic systems are more advanced than anything we've used before. Will it fool their sensors? For a while. But if they get too close, they'll see through it. Admiral Jinwoo nodded. Then we'll have to make sure they don't get too close. Unknown to the colonial forces, Earth had been working frantically to build a real military fleet. Defense Coordinator Yuna had overseen the construction of 200 warships, using every shipyard and factory on Earth and its colonies. But the fleet wouldn't be ready for months, and Admiral Jinwoo's forces had to hold the line alone. When the Grand Armada entered human space, Emperor Zalthex expected to see a few dozen ships defending the human colony. Instead, his sensors detected what appeared to be an endless wall of human vessels stretching across multiple star systems. How many ships? The Emperor demanded. Impossible to count accurately, Your Magnificence, replied the sensor operator. Our computers detect thousands of signatures, arranged in defensive formations we've never seen before. Grand Admiral Yexelon studied the tactical display with growing concern. Your Magnificence, if the humans have this many ships, why didn't they attack our territory? Why wait for us to come to them? Perhaps they are not aggressive by nature, suggested Supreme Tactician Veltar. Many species prefer defensive warfare. The Emperor stared at the display showing what appeared to be the largest fleet he had ever seen. Begin the attack. We will test their resolve. The battle began with long-range fire from both sides. The human ships moved in complex patterns that made no sense to Andorian tactical doctrine. They would appear in one location, fire their weapons and vanish, only to reappear somewhere completely different. Admiral Jinwoo coordinated the defense from his flagship Soul's Honor. His 45 ships were spread across a huge area, using holographic projectors to create the illusion of hundreds more vessels. Wing Commander Haiwan, take your squadron and hit their left flank, Jinwoo ordered. Make it look like a major assault. Wing Commander Haiwan led 12 fighters in a coordinated attack that appeared on Andorian sensors to be a full squadron assault by 50 ships. The fighters used hit-and-run tactics, striking hard and fast before disappearing into the electronic chaos created by human jamming systems. The Andorians tried to respond with their traditional massive formations, but the human ships refused to fight that way. They struck from unexpected angles, used terrain features for cover, and coordinated their attacks with a precision that confused the alien commanders. They fight like no one we have ever encountered, complained Fleet Commander Mortak. Our formations cannot target them effectively. Then adapt, Emperor Zalthex ordered through the communication system. We have 10,000 ships. They cannot hide from all of us. But the humans seem to be doing exactly that. Every time the Andorians concentrated their forces, the human ships would strike somewhere else. Every time they tried to pin down the enemy fleet, it would scatter and reform in a different configuration. Technical Director Sung Ho monitored the battle from the command center on New Busan. Sir, the holographic systems are working better than expected. The aliens are targeting false signatures about 60% of the time. How long can we maintain the deception? Admiral Jinwoo asked. Unknown. If they get close enough for visual confirmation, they'll realize most of our ships don't exist. The battle raged for 6 hours. The humans fought with incredible skill and determination, using every advantage they could find. Their superior technology allowed individual ships to punch far above their weight, but they were still vastly outnumbered. Emperor Zalthex watched his fleet take heavy casualties from enemies that seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at once. His ship counts showed that hundreds of Andorian vessels had been destroyed or damaged, while the human fleet appeared to maintain its strength. "Your Magnificence," Grand Admiral Yexelon said urgently. "We're losing ships faster than we can replace them. The humans are using tactics we don't understand." "They are just clever primitives," the Emperor replied, but doubt was creeping into his voice. "Press the attack." As the battle continued, the human deception began to show cracks. Some Andorian ships got close enough to realize that they were firing at empty space, but by then, the psychological damage was done. The Andorian fleet had lost over 1,000 ships, while the human forces appeared to be a vast, coordinated military that could strike anywhere at will. To the alien commanders, it looked like they were fighting an enemy with superior numbers, technology, and tactics. "Sir," the communications officer on Emperor Zalthex's flagship announced, "we're detecting new quantum signatures approaching from the direction of Earth." Long-range sensors showed a large fleet moving toward the battle zone. It was moving fast, using advanced propulsion systems that the Andorians had never seen before. "How many ships?" the Emperor asked. 200, Your Magnificence. Maybe more." Emperor Zalthex stared at the tactical display. He had brought everything the Empire had to this battle, and the humans were still bringing in reinforcements. "How many ships did they have?" "Your Magnificence," Supreme Tactician Veltar said quietly. "Perhaps we should consider withdrawal. We've lost too many ships already." "Withdraw?" The Emperor's voice was filled with disbelief. "The Grand Armada has never retreated from any enemy. Your Magnificence, if we lose the entire fleet here, the Empire will be defenseless. Perhaps we should preserve our remaining forces and negotiate." The approaching Earth fleet was led by Fleet Admiral Chang Min, who had never expected to command humanity's first major space battle. His 200 ships represented everything Earth could build on short notice. Strategic Coordinator A. Young fed him tactical information as they approached the battle zone. "Sir, our colonial forces appear to be holding their own, but they've taken heavy casualties." "Signal Admiral Jin Wu," Chang Min ordered. "Tell him help is on the way." Battle analyst Jun Qi studied the sensor readings from the ongoing battle. "Sir, the aliens have lost over 1,000 ships, but they still outnumber our combined forces by at least 4-1. "Then we'll have to even the odds," Chang Min replied. As the Earth fleet entered the battle zone, Emperor Zalthex made the most difficult decision of his reign. His Grand Armada had lost 1,500 ships, and the humans were still bringing in fresh forces. If this continued, he would lose everything. "Signal general retreat," he ordered quietly. "Your Magnificence." Grand Admiral Yexelon couldn't believe what he was hearing. "You heard me. Signal retreat. We must preserve what remains of the fleet." As the Andorian ships began to withdraw, Admiral Jin Wu couldn't believe they had survived. His 45 ships had faced 10,000 and lived to tell about it, Sir Tactical Genius Hyun Soo said with amazement. "They're retreating. The entire alien fleet is pulling back." Admiral Jin Wu looked at the tactical display, where Fleet Admiral Chang Min's ships were joining the defensive formation. 245 human ships had convinced 10,000 aliens to retreat. "Send a message to all ships," Jin Wu ordered. "Well done, everyone. We've just achieved the impossible." Fleet Admiral Chang Min's Earth fleet arrived at New Busan, just as the massive Andorian armada was retreating. His 200 ships looked impressive next to Admiral Jin Wu's battered colonial vessels, but Chang Min knew the truth. This was almost everything humanity had to offer. "Admiral Jin Wu," Chang Min said through the communication link. "Good to see you're still fighting." "Good to see reinforcements," Jin Wu replied. "What's Earth's status?" "Every shipyard working overtime. Every military academy graduated early. This fleet represents 6 months of emergency construction." Chang Min paused. "It's also almost everything we have." Strategic Coordinator A. Young was studying the sensor readings from the retreating alien fleet. "Sir, they're not going far. Long-range sensors show them regrouping about 3 light-years away." Battle analyst Jun Qi brought up tactical displays on his screen. "Admiral, the alien fleet still has over 8,000 ships. Even combined, we have less than 300. Then we'll have to make them think we have more," Admiral Jin Wu said. "Are the holographic systems still working?" Master Tactician Do Yun had been refining their deception technology during the brief pause in fighting. Sir, I've improved the projectors. We can now create the appearance of over 1,000 ships, and the signatures are more realistic than before. How realistic? Realistic enough to fool long-range sensors. But if they get close enough for visual confirmation, let's hope they don't, Changmin said. Electronic warfare specialist Guy Young had been monitoring Andorian communications during their retreat. Sirs, the aliens are confused. Their intercepted messages suggest they believe Earth has multiple reserve fleets. Excellent, Admiral Jin Woo said. Let's encourage that belief. Communications Director Wook Jin had prepared a series of false messages designed to be intercepted by alien intelligence. Ready to broadcast, sir. Should I mention the fleets from Alpha Centauri and Tau Ceti? Do it. Make them think humanity controls dozens of star systems. Emperor Zalthek sat in his command ship, staring at intelligence reports that made no sense. His Grand Armada had retreated from a single star system, losing 1,500 ships in the process. Now his scouts reported that human reinforcements had arrived and more were apparently coming. How is this possible? The Emperor asked Grand Admiral Yexelon. Our intelligence said humans were a primitive species with limited space travel. Our intelligence was clearly wrong, Your Magnificence, Yexelon replied carefully. The humans appear to control a significant portion of this galactic sector. Supreme Tactician Veltar studied the latest intercepted human communications. Your Magnificence, the humans are discussing Phase 3 mobilization and activating the outer colony fleets. It sounds like they have military forces we haven't even seen yet. The Emperor felt something he had never experienced before. Genuine fear. For 800 years, the Andorian Empire had been the dominant power in this region of space. Now they faced an enemy that seemed to have resources that matched or exceeded their own. What are our options? Emperor Zalthex asked. We could attempt another attack, Veltar said reluctantly. But if the humans really do have more fleets, we might lose everything. Or we could negotiate, suggested Grand Admiral Yexelon. Negotiate? The Emperor's four eyes widened in shock. The Andorian Empire does not negotiate with inferior species. Your Magnificence, these humans may not be inferior. Meanwhile, the human fleets prepared for what they assumed would be another massive battle. The combined fleet of 245 ships looked impressive when spread across multiple star systems using holographic multipliers. Admiral Jin Woo met with his senior officers to plan their strategy. The aliens have pulled back, but they'll be back. When they come, they'll come with everything they have left. Sir, Master Tactician Do-Yun said, I've been studying their retreat patterns. They're not acting like a confident military force. They're acting like they're afraid. Afraid of what? Of us, sir. I think our deception has worked too well. They believe they're facing a military power that equals or exceeds their own. Fleet Admiral Chang Min looked thoughtful. If that's true, maybe we can use their fear against them. What do you mean? What if we don't wait for them to attack? What if we make them think we're about to attack them? Electronic warfare specialist Gay Young smiled. I can arrange for them to intercept communications about a massive offensive being planned by Earth Defense Command. Do it, Admiral Jinwoo ordered. But make it believable. The false intelligence worked perfectly. When Emperor Zalthex received reports that the humans were planning a large-scale attack on Andorian territory, he made a decision that would have been unthinkable weeks earlier. Open a communication channel to the human fleet, he ordered. The message reached Admiral Jinwoo's flagship an hour later. The face of Emperor Zalthex appeared on the main screen, looking tired and defeated. Human commanders, I am Emperor Zalthex of the Andorian Empire. I propose that we discuss terms for ending this conflict. Admiral Jinwoo exchanged glances with Fleet Admiral Chang Min. Neither had expected this. Your Magnificence, Jinwoo replied carefully. What kind of terms did you have in mind? A mutual non-aggression pact. The Empire will recognize human claims to this sector of space, and humans will agree not to expand into Andorian territory. Chang Min whispered to Jinwoo. He's offering us everything we wanted. More than we wanted, Jinwoo whispered back. He's afraid of us. The negotiations took place over several days. Ambassador Na-Young, who had arrived with the Earth fleet, led the human diplomatic team. She was careful not to reveal the true size of humanity's military while securing favorable terms for future expansion. Diplomatic advisor Subin helped draft the treaty language. Ambassador, they're offering us exclusive rights to over 50 star systems. That's enough space for centuries of human expansion. They really think we're a major galactic power, Ambassador Na Young realized. They're negotiating as equals. Emperor Zalthex, meanwhile, was relieved to end the conflict without losing his entire empire. The humans had proven they could match Andorian military might, and their technology was clearly superior in many areas. A peace treaty would allow both civilizations to coexist. When the negotiations concluded, the Andorian Empire formally recognized human sovereignty over a large region of space. In return, humanity agreed to respect Andorian territorial claims and establish trade relationships. As the Andorian fleet departed, Admiral Jinwu stood on his ship's bridge, looking out at the stars. The 245 ships that had convinced a galactic empire to negotiate represented almost all of humanity's military power. "Sir," Strategic Coordinator A. Young said quietly, "what happens when they figure out how small we really are?" "Hopefully by then, we won't be small anymore," Jinwu replied. Colony Director J.In was already making plans for rapid expansion. With 50 star systems now under human protection, colonies could be established quickly and safely. "Admiral," she said, "this treaty gives us everything we need to build a real galactic presence. In 10 years, we might actually be as powerful as they think we are now." 6 months later, Ambassador Na Young sat across from Emperor Zalthex in a formal diplomatic meeting. The Andorian leader still believed he was dealing with a major galactic power, and the treaty had brought unexpected benefits to both sides. "Ambassador," the Emperor said, "I must admit your people have surprised us. We did not expect to encounter a civilization that could match our military capabilities." "Your magnificence is very kind," Ambassador Na Young replied diplomatically. She had learned not to correct his assumptions about human strength. News of the human-Andorian treaty spread quickly through the galaxy. Other alien civilizations began approaching Earth, seeking alliances with what they assumed was a powerful new player in galactic politics. Fleet Admiral Chang Min found himself meeting with representatives from a dozen different species, all eager to establish diplomatic relations with humanity. "Admiral," Strategic Coordinator A. Young reported, "the Zentari Confederation wants to discuss a mutual defense treaty. The Vorthan Republic is offering technology exchanges. Even the mysterious ethereal collective has sent diplomatic feelers. They all think we're much stronger than we actually are," Changmin observed. "Should we tell them the truth?" Changmin smiled. "Not yet. Let's build that strength first." On New Busan, now the capital of humanity's expanding colonial empire, Admiral Jinwu looked up at the night sky. Human ships were already heading to new star systems, carrying colonists and supplies to worlds that would become humanity's first real interstellar civilization. The galaxy had welcomed humanity not as primitive newcomers, but as a respected power. The deception that had started as a desperate survival tactic had become the foundation for humanity's future among the stars. Engineer Wu Bin, now promoted to Director of Colonial Development, brought Jinwu the latest reports. "Sir, we have colonies being established in 15 systems. Ship construction is proceeding ahead of schedule. In 5 years, we'll have a real fleet of over 1,000 ships, and by then everyone will expect us to have 10,000, Jinwu replied. "Will we tell them the truth eventually?" Admiral Jinwu looked out at the busy spaceport, where human ships came and went constantly.